of the game industry. It's there's 66% of working adults are playing games. So 2/3 of you adults in here right now probably have Candy Crush on your phones, or are playing World of Warcraft, or Overwatch, or Guild Wars 2, or some sort of game that any of your students will relate to you with. There are supposed to be 1 billion more gamers added in the next 5 years, so this industry has not stopped growing, and it will not slow down anytime soon. It's incredible how this is growing in this area and all over the world. So I'm going to let this group go ahead and do their thing. I'm going to stop talking and let them go.
Test, test. Seems all good. Hello, my name is Micah Johnson.
My name is Adam Saldonian.
And I'm Connor Pitts.
And we're Team Janky Frame. And our game is called Ninja Challenge. Adam will be driving.
Alright, Ninja Challenge is a 2D platformer made in the Unity engine, and it takes heavy inspiration from like 16th century ninjas and 19th century folklore about ninjas, because ninjas kind of had that mysterious feeling, mysterious aura about them, you know, with the whole disappearing and running on walls kind of stuff. So we made our game about ninjas.
We went with the theme of ninjas because we thought it suited our gameplay idea pretty well. It is primarily a platformer. As you can see, we got a control screen up there. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. But the way the controls are designed to be played, it's not exactly very beginner friendly. It's meant to cater to higher level players, because this game is designed for repeat play. Alright, so you can see here, we have our main character. We call him Akira, and there's a little white ninja there and a black ninja there. The black ninja is your guy, and the enemies are the white guys. So, you can sneak up behind him, and you can slash him with your sword. Oh, okay, yeah. See, they kind of fall down, as kind of like Mario or Sonic, kind of tumble down. It's a bit comedic. Now, if you want to see the gameplay hook of our game, it's the wall running mechanic. You can jump at walls and then run up them, do a stylish flip when you hit the top. You can also jump between walls to boost yourself up. This is kind of done in the style of Super Meat Boy, or Castle, and it infuses with elements of Castlevania, like the jumping there. The animation here is really smooth, as you can see. We put a lot of time into the animation, and we even made our own custom animation pipeline for inserting these sprites. Also, every attack animation has collision boxes for every frame. So it's really precise. There's no way you're getting cheated fighting-wise. The enemy AI is designed around not seeing you and seeing you. When they see you, they come after you and alert all their friends to your presence. Connor, why don't you tell them a little bit about the level design philosophy here?
When making Ninja Challenge, we had to try to keep a big sense of flow in mind, because making the game, we were trying to take inspiration from games like Super Meat Boy, which have good flow, and
they have good flow, and they're fun to play, and they feel good once you've mastered them. The point of this game is to feel good once you mastered it. As you can see, he's actually going above the enemies on the rafters, and they can't reach him. So he's sneaking by them and getting to the flag at the end of the level. We didn't really detail the objective in the menus, but that's because it's a really simple objective. When you see a flagpole in a game like Mario, you know that you're supposed to go towards it. The beginning level of this game was actually designed to teach you. So as you can see, our players transitioned in the second area of the game. We call this the snowy area, but the game calls it the frozen pitfalls. Every level has an individual name in the HUD. You can also see elements like the total time you've taken to play the game, the total time you've taken on your current level, and your current amount of deaths. Our death system is kind of interesting in that you never go back to the main menu. You never game over. Instead, it puts a death on your counter and respawns all the enemies and you at the beginning of the level. Levels are made short so that the player never becomes frustrated. So as you can see, there are a lot of technical aspects to how this game plays. One interesting thing is we found little bugs that weren't very annoying. They were in fact actually fun. We kept a lot of those in. So a player that we had test out the game really enjoyed the game. But one of the things that he noticed is that when you slash while running, and you do your running roll slash, you don't lose momentum upon hitting a wall. We kept that in the game so that players could optimize their speedruns and keep their time as low as possible. Our player here just beat the level Warning Lights, which has each level has a little gimmick, level design-wise. Warning Lights in particular has some lanterns, and every time you look beneath one of those lanterns, there's something dangerous. One of the pits doesn't have a lantern over it, and is instead a secret route to finish in a level faster. The game is very focused on speed. We even have a sprint feature, where if you double tap the left or right arrow keys, the character will run faster. It also increases the speed of his animation and makes him bob his head slightly forward. We're pretty proud of the art design on display here, and every area has at least one unique thing about it. In particular, the cave area has parts of the wall jutting out, which isn't actually in any other level. The ice level also has parts that jut out of the ground in a unique way, those small poles, while the temple level has the chandeliers that you can jump across. The player is meant to have to compensate for these unique elements and avoid death as quick as possible. So you can see this is the final level. It's called Ascension. It's kind of like a complete test. So as you can see, you'll have to jump over that spike and get that enemy. You didn't succeed there. When you hit the spikes, it also does the same thing as if you were killed by an enemy. Another interesting thing that you can see is if you can get the enemy to run into a spike themselves, they also die, giving a little bit of environmental interaction. This game is actually totally possible to get through without killing a single enemy, and that's one neat thing about it, that you can challenge yourself on evasion. When the combat system of this game was designed, it was initially supposed to be a multiplayer kind of deathmatch platformer. However, we scrapped that idea pretty early in favor of a more friendly platformer. This game doesn't really have a concrete story, because basing a story on ninjas means basing a story on assassins, which means basing a story on violence. And that's usually not okay for school settings. Wouldn't let us make that. So what we got here instead is kind of a silly little comedic challenge kind of thing. Doesn't really have a story, it's just a fun little playground for the player to experiment with. So as you can see, this is our end screen. It credits all the tools that we used in the development of the game. For one, Unity, but also uniquely, we used a program called Tile to generate tile maps and collisions based on our art assets imported into the engine. We then exported those into Unity through an external program and got those running with Collision. It also gives you your total time and your total deaths. Could you return to the menu? And go to like the second level. I'd like to talk about some of the cool collision things. So what we got here is actually a system based on raycasting. It's a platformer in Unity, and Unity is really made for 3D games. The 2D engine is kind of cobbled together. It's still really good, but one of the features it includes is a raycast feature, which we use to make sure that the collision is as smooth as possible. There's a high level of polish in the collision here. You're never going to encounter somewhere where you're never going to have a situation where a collision happens that it wasn't supposed to, or a collision was supposed to happen and you fell through a wall. That doesn't happen in this game. I did talk about our custom animation pipeline briefly, but because we didn't want to use Unity's default animation pipeline, which is more optimized for three-dimensional games, we decided to make our own custom pipeline that's delta timed as well, so it can run at any frame rate. The entire game is delta timed, meaning that it can go over 60 frames per second, the industry standard, and still play just fine. The game can also play at any resolution without stretching the HUD or any of the art assets. Overall, I think this game was a really fun experience to make. We had a lot of fun making it, and I think it's really solid. That is all.
Yeah, this is very impressive. So really good job. So I'll just sort of go through my list. So you guys listed your influences. I thought that was great. So knowing sort of like what inspired you guys to make this game, I thought really helped me get into your head, and also sort of proved to me that you know your field a little bit. So I was really happy with that. A lot of attention to detail. Thank you for sort of going into detail about like your collision detection and things like that. I'd love to sort of ask more questions about that later. Let's see, I thought it was a really good and smart use of your assets by making the main or protagonist, the enemies are just a color swap of that original character. And so what that allows you to do is to use and reuse a lot of the same animations and have that same kind of detail applied to your enemies as you are having applied to your main character. So I thought that was a really smart move there. Let's see, the detail to your objectives at the beginning, I noticed that you guys were actually very mindful of how you were doing that and saying, hey, maybe it's not necessary to provide like a tutorial and stuff like that by keeping your controls simple. I really like your hook. Running up the walls looks really, really fun. This looks like a game I would just play just for the sake of playing. So, and then additionally, your focus on speed tells me that you thought a lot about like the, what your win state, what your lose state, and what people moving through those states would feel like.